everybody and welcome to my channel. My name is Carla and I am the Stitchy Witch living in Scotland, and I'm here today with a new update. I remember when I last did my update last month, I was talking about there being a few changes coming on board, and I'm going to go into those as we go along. But I don't want to do a big lengthy drawn out intro before I actually start showing things, because it does tend to get a bit boring. So I'm going to just go straight in and show you what I've done. And then I'm going to talk about what it is I'm going to do or that I'm planning to do. So let's go into the first one, which I have here. So this one is called Battle. It is the Heaven and Earth Designs Stitch Along. And obviously started it January of this year, because that's when the stitch along started for everybody. I use these hoops now. They're 10-inch hoops that I use for most of my stitchy sessions, and I put it onto a Lowry stand, which is these work really well on a Lowry stand. I find that that's the best thing for me at the moment, because the Q snaps are good for holding the fabric, but they're not very good for the Lowry stand unless you have, I don't know, it seems to not work well with the clamp after a while. So let's have a look. This is Battle, and the original, you can find the original piece in the Heaven and Earth Designs website by Daniel Eskridge, and it's really beautiful. But this is the crop that was given out for the South. Now there isn't a huge amount of progress, probably a couple of thousand stitches, which is actually quite substantial actually. A couple of thousand stitches. And here is where I'm at now. I'm trying to make sure that I get this into the camera frame. So I worked diagonally, as you can see, and I started on a 20 stitch wide diagonal here to see how that suits, because I normally do 10 stitches across going down diagonally. Now I'm going to try 20, I think, because a lot of these colors here are all the same kind of colors over and over again. So I think it's not going to be slower to do it over 20 stitches. I think it's going to still be as quick. It's only when I start getting into the actual ship that I start slowing down. And as you can see, I started this one and did all sorts of manner of things. I went cross country, and then I went back to rows, and then I went back to cross country again, and then back to rows, and then back to diagonals. So this one has seen quite a few changes of method, but you know, all roads lead to Rome, so it doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, you're just putting stitches in wherever. It doesn't really matter as long as you get the stitches in. I did go down here. Here's an example of my doing the completion, color completion. I did all the black here, but I don't think I really liked it, because now I sit here thinking, have I made a mistake? When I go to here, will I see a mistake? What do I do if there's a mistake? So it does drive my head a little bit wacky. I do actually prefer seeing the sections come out complete without gaps. So for the moment, that is kind of where my brain is at, and that's just the way it is. So I'm really happy, and this is one of the ones that I think I'm going to continue working on until I get the 6 pages. So the 6 pages will be completed once I get this whole block section done. It'll actually be 6, is it 6 or 8? No, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And there's like a little cut off at the edge. So these 6 pages will be done once I finish this section. And then I'll probably go down and start, you know, filling in all this going down. It is kind of hard to get back into the diagonal once you've got all these, you know, little gappy bits, but it's fine. It's fine. It's getting there slowly. So on this one, I put in about 1,500. I might as well mention at this point that the reason I haven't worked on so many, well, there's a couple of reasons, but one of them is because I have been finding it difficult to stitch because of my back. Now, normally I get sciatic pain, but that doesn't really prevent me from stitching. But last month I suffered what I think was a pinched nerve in my shoulder. And every time I lifted my left arm and, you know, started stitching for a while, it started to ache. And then the nerve in the back of my shoulder would really start, you know, hurting. So I'd have to do some like stretches and things and then actually not stitch. So my stitching sessions haven't been that long this month because of the pinched nerve in my neck, and it has actually affected things quite a bit. So saying that, I'm pretty glad with whatever I got done, because I didn't think that, I thought possibly I wasn't going to be able to stitch at all because of this pain that I was getting. So I was just being careful and not forcing it, and I'd stitch a little bit and then I'd go and do something else. And I've done quite a bit of reading this month just to compensate. So we'll just see how it goes. It's just one of those things, you know, stuff happens. I've also been beset with complete and utter chaos with my hay fever kind of allergies. And even today, my nose is running, my eyes are sore, I take antihistamines, they make me fall asleep. So even if they make things feel a bit better, I get too drowsy. So I'm too drowsy to do stitch. So I just can't win whatever I do. But hopefully, you know, going forward, things will improve a little bit. I don't know. We'll see. I just do what I can, like everybody. You just do what you can and you just go with the flow. At least I can do some of it. It's not like I'm completely, you know, incapacitated every day. That's not the truth. Some days are better than others. It's basically the best way to put it. So anyway, we've seen this one. This is going to be the one that I'm going to be working on. Let me give you some stats on this. So this is currently at 44.78%. And I'm working it 2 strands over 2/1 10 stitch. I've completed 39,000 stitches on it. So that's quite a good one. And I am following other people who are doing the sal and the pieces that they're working on, because I find that really cool. There are so many people that have finished this. I just don't know how they've done it, because it's so confetti. How on earth can you have finished it? Like, some people have finished it first 6 weeks that it was released. I just, honestly, I feel like there's some like witchery stuff going on there, some hocus pocus, because I honestly don't know how they have done it. I mean, I wish I could have been a fly on the wall, because it does slow you down when you get all these hundreds of colors, like 30 different browns in a 10 by 10 square. It just does take hours, no matter what way. You can cross country as much as you like, but you can't cross country if you have to change your thread every 2 stitches. Yeah, it can be difficult. And I'm not apologizing for having my threads hanging there, because that is my method, that is what I do. But I like to keep them tidy with these things. I don't like them messy and tangled up or any of that. So I do keep them tidy. And when I start stitching, I move the threads and part them, and then I hide them behind needle minders and stuff. So I like to be tidy, no matter how many threads there are. And they don't get in my way, because I've got used to wrangling with them. So I'm quite happy. I've been parking threads for 5 years now doing this. So, you know, after a while you get your own groove, you get your own method. So that's everything I need to say about this one, I think, and I'm really happy with the result. So this one I'll be working on as we go forward into the autumn. Okay. The next one I want to show you. I have to get all these back on the hoops again. Once I've finished. The next one I want to show you is, let's go to the newer one that I've been working on. So this is one of the most new, so there isn't much to show you, but that's okay, because we are at the beginning of it. This is called Amelia. Oops, I bumped the camera. This is called Amelia in the Garden, and I did a whole video about this, talking about the backstory to this chart, because it is based on a 15th century illuminated manuscript, and this picture is from an illuminated manuscript that was created in the 15th century. And there's a whole story and a poem and all that kind of thing, which is really quite, it's really quite charming. If you want to listen to that, you'll find it in my my video feed. But this is Emilia in the Garden, and it's by Artisy. And I started it with 1/1 with one strand. Didn't like the one strand. Gone back to the 2 strands. I still got some 1 strands down here, but I've gone back to the 2 strands because that is just where I feel more comfortable. And I've got quite far. I managed to do this little bit here where you can see. I don't exactly know what it is, to be honest. I can zoom in, but that looks like, I don't know, the top of a tent or something. That looks like a bit of foliage. I don't know exactly what it is. But I can tell you that I'm at 1.7%. Or did I tell you the percentage of the last one that I was doing? Yeah, I did. So this one's at 1.7%, and I've done 3,700 stitches. So I've done roughly about 1,000 stitches on this one. Quite a little bit here. And as you can see, we're coming into seeing this lovely, is it the top of the castle? Yeah, it's the turret, and that's really quite nice. This piece, somebody said to me, reminds them of a Theresa Wenzler, and I have to agree. I was kind of thinking that. Just the kind of style that it is, and maybe because it's got the border and everything, and it's actually quite intricate. It's actually quite heavy confetti, which I know Theresa Wenzler's are. I've never done one, but I've heard people say it multiple times. So that is one of the reasons why I, not one of the reasons why I picked it, because I haven't done one before. But I just love the detail. I love the detail in the Theresa Wenzler charts, and I never have really gotten one, but this one has all the detail that you need. And there are like so many yellows in this. How many yellows do you need? Look at the yellow, the amount of yellows. They're all different yellows, but they look very much the same. To be able to keep track of these yellows, I have to kind of work methodically, otherwise I'd go insane. I've tried to work cross country around here, and I just go mad because I feel like I'm getting blurred vision, you know, with all the same colours. I'm keen to get a bit more into the greens and blues up here, and obviously she is going to be somewhere around here down the bottom. But yeah, I'm not completely decided if I'm going to do the entire bottom section of the right. I might do half horizontally, knock a little bit of the flowers off the bottom, because I don't know if you actually need that many floral parts at the bottom. But I do like the idea of keeping in the text, because it's kind of quaint, and it kind of matches the picture, and it's part of the picture anyway. So yeah, long way to go with this one, but this is not one that I'm doing in a hurry. This is just emerging, you know, bit by bit, detail by detail. But it's actually a joy to stitch because it's so pretty. And you do actually feel like you're getting your hands stuck into something medieval when you're working on this one. Bit like the Lady and the Unicorn, which is, you know, quite popular as well. So let's have a look. This one, yeah, 1.7%. So again, I'm quite pleased with my progress, and I do want to take this one into next month. So I'm only going to be working on the same ones for the moment until I get bored of them, which isn't yet. But I'm working on the same ones. There's nothing wrong with that. So what I've done is I've put everything away. I put everything away literally, and I just picked out 3 that I wanted to work on. No questions, no overthinking, no, oh, but what about this one? Or what about that one? And I should do this one, or I should do that one. None of that stuff. I just picked out 3 and said, these are the 3 I'm going to work on. I'm not going to give it a time frame. I'm going to work on them, you know, for as long as I want to, whether that's a week, 3 weeks, a month, 6 months, a year, 2 years, I don't know. I'm just not putting a time frame on it. I'm just going to work on them for as long as I want to, and that seems to be working nicely for my poor head, for my poor shoulder that's hurting every time I try to stitch. I'm not getting too stressed about it. And so we don't know if we're going to get the same next month or we're going to get something different, but hey, it's all progress no matter what. The next one is my favorite of all, so I can't apologize for bringing it out again, and this is my Vatican Sunset, which is, let me see, I've forgotten who, oh yes, it's Thomas Kincade, and it's a Heaven and Earth design. it's a full coverage, and I absolutely love working on this one. And here we are. So I hope I've got that into the frame. So with this one, I have worked all along across here. You can see some more of the lights coming out. And I started working at the top of the dome and working again across the sky. That is what I did this month. I managed to complete 2,400 stitches on this. My shoulder felt every single one of them, I can assure you. And yes, I have tried putting pillows under my arm and stuff like that. I get into the most comfortable position I'm possibly able to be able to stitch. Once the nerve starts pinching, stitching time is over. It's time to get up, do something else, you know, move into different positions, that kind of thing. So again, we're at 2/1 10th stitch on the 25 count. They're all 25 count so far. And at this one, I'm at 21.40%, which I think is pretty good. And I've done 39,300 stitches in total. I may go along the top right to the end. I don't know. Possibly because I've already started inching along that way. And because I'm enjoying the way the sky is coming out so much, I'm actually, I mean, I was all excited about getting more of the, you know, the St. Peter's, is it St. Peter's Basilica? I don't know what you call it. Getting more of this building done and all the surrounding lights around it and the little people that were at the bottom. But I'm like, hey, I'm not in a hurry. I'm just going to, you know, take it easy. And I thought might just go to the end and see how that looks. That'd be nice to hit one corner. Because I normally always start on the left and I end up doing more on the left and not as much on the right. So I might change that, I don't know. But I'm enjoying it at the moment. This is my favourite at the moment, to be honest. I have to be honest, it is my favourite. So yeah, that's all I really can tell you about it. I can't tell you anything else. It's an absolute delight. I'm just a sucker for buildings and for skies. I think a lot of my viewers already know that I really love landscapes. Landscapes is my thing. I don't know why that is. I don't have a clue. It just is. I don't stitch, you know, dragons, and I like them. I like watching people stitch them, and I like seeing the stitched pieces, but I don't like stitching them myself. So I think everybody's got their own, you know, their own little thing. So now I'm going to talk about what I was thinking about earlier in August. And I was thinking, I put away all of my kind of kits and paper chart kits and that sort of thing that I'd started. I just put them all away and I hadn't brought them out for ages. And then I was thinking, you know, I was getting a bit tired of just doing full coverage large pieces because they're so intense. And then I wanted to go back to doing something, not necessarily because it has a paper chart, because the paper charts are a pain, but because I wanted to just get out of the whole 25 count, you know, and do something else. So I picked up again, so I started a new one. I went back to a designer, which I have a couple of charts of, and I have an older one that I've been working on, which I'm going to show you now, actually, which you might remember, which I'd put away for a while because I just got sick of it, and I brought it out again. And this is called London by Thea, Governor. So if you're an older viewer of mine, you will remember this one, but if you're new, you probably won't have seen it before. So this is called London. It's been in a drawer for a while, and I got quite a lot of this done. But it is fiddly, and I think it's on 22 count, it could be 18 count. That's probably the best way to put it. It could be an 18 count, and you can choose between the lighter colour fabric or the darker colour fabric. And what I found most difficult about this was doing this kind of backstitch. Backstitch with this metallic thread was just insane. And I'm not keen on some of these backstitch pieces because they're just going out of alignment here. I'm going to have to, if you see here how this long piece, maybe I should have done that in 2 stitches instead of 1 stitch. But these long stitches here backstitch are kind of pulling out. So I have to go back behind and fix that a little bit. But I think it's still a lovely piece, and I want to get back and do a little bit more of it. I did do a little bit more here, down the bottom. So we're coming into a dome and a new building. And there's a nice little bit of my cat's fluff just to embellish it. And yeah, I don't think there's much I can tell you about this one. It's called London, and you can get lots of other cityscapes as well. And I think it's a real shame that I hadn't got back to it. But hey, I had an urge to pick it up again. I love these little details. Look at those little circles there. There's just so many little different details like this. When I opened it wide again and took a good look at it, I thought it was really cool. Like this thing, I don't know what it is, but it looks cool. I don't know what's going on there, but it's cool. Oh yeah, that's like a literal trophy or something, like a... The details in this are just beautiful. And look at this little cross. I would call this more advanced stitching because it is actually quite difficult. There's lots of intricate little backstitch in metallics, and it's not for everybody. Let me tell you, this kind of stitching is not for everyone. It is actually quite intense. There's lovely metallic gold in the cross. It's just sublime, and I think I would love... This is one that I would definitely get framed. But you do have to be careful of stuff like this. Because imagine if they framed it with one of your stitches gone crazy like that. You'd just cry, wouldn't you? So I do have to go back and fix some of the back stitches. There was other problems with the chart as well. I think that it wasn't clear when it came to backstitch instructions. So, but I'm definitely going to pick this one up again at some point. Hopefully I'm going to pick it up again in September. But talking about Thea Governor, I had another chart of theirs, and I thought, well, why not have a go at that one? And you're probably going to say, oh, it looks difficult. Yeah, maybe it does, but I'm not shy of things that are difficult. So this next one is by the same company, and I just brought it out on Sunday evening to have a go for something different, you know, to give me a break from the full coverage ones. So here it's called, I don't actually know what the name is. Does it say it on here? Oh, it's called Just Joey. Just Joey. And it's beautiful. I've never done a chart with flowers, but I thought I would have a go and, you know, just punch in a few stitches, see if I like it, and I'll continue. I do like it, and I actually don't have a problem working on the black fabric. I do not have a problem at all. It can be a bit tricky with the light because you can't see the stitches unless you've got light underneath the canvas. But isn't that beautiful? And I've only got a very modest start because obviously I haven't done a lot. And there we have my start, which is more or less in the center of the piece. So that will be somewhere around that bit there. And it's 1/1 full cross on 18 count. And that's what the instructions say. So that is what I'm going to do. And I think it's really going to pop on this fabric. And as I said, when I'm stitching it, I've got light source coming from underneath from my window, and you can see the stitches. So if you have a problem with working on black, try putting a light source behind or having the window in front of you so that the light shines underneath. And that is really helpful. But what is difficult about this one is the fact that you don't have any grid. And I don't grid using threads or anything like that. It's just not something I can do. I suppose you could get like maybe a white chalk or something. But so far, I'm sticking to the main area and counting around the main area. So as long as I'm doing that, it shouldn't be that difficult. And I'm enjoying the fact that it's not a full coverage, that, you know, there's actually an end in sight. That you're actually not having to do every single stitch on the canvas. I'm quite enjoying that. And it feels a little bit more relaxing sometimes than the pressure of knowing you have to do such a great big piece. So yeah, that's orange roses. I'm just going to call it orange roses. I think that's what is a nice name for it. And so just a few stitches in it. Whether I'm going to complete this one or not, I do not know. Hopefully. But it is quite intense because there's a lot of little colour changes. The colours are very subtly changing, which I think is going to look gorgeous when you've done it. You look at it from a distance. Those flowers with all those, you know, variations in colour are going to really pop. And I think it is going to look gorgeous on the black. Even though the black is a little bit trickier, I don't find it too hard. But what I do find hard is actually counting the stitches along. So I can't count, say, from here down to here. I'd make a mistake. I think that would be difficult. So I'm kind of working around the same little area and branching out. But yeah, so that's that one. And obviously you don't know how many stitches you're doing because there's no way of counting them, but I quite enjoyed doing something a bit different again. I've knocked off all my other charts that are not digital charts and not full coverage, and I just, you know, didn't bother with them. So I've gone back to assess them, and these are the two that I'm going to work on for the moment, I think. So that's enough for me, considering I'm battling a few health issues. That's definitely enough for me at the moment. I just like being able to sit with one of them for 3 or 4 days, 5 days maybe, and, you know, have that relaxation, knowing that I don't have to jump and bounce around to other things. And then if I fancy picking up one of the other ones, I do. And that really is a lot, you know, a big load off my head anyway. Especially when I'm not feeling well, and then I'm like, oh, I need to work on this, and I need to work on that, and I need to work on that. It just puts pressure, which I'm trying to avoid for the moment. So yeah, I am sorry it was not the most exciting, but it's just the way it is. I can already feel my nose starting to tickle and it's getting a bit sore. So that's really the things that I came on to talk about today, and just to catch up with you. And it's not going to be the longest video, but that is the update today. And I do want to say thank you to the people that have reached out and sent me a message asking if I'm okay. And I just want to say thanks. I'm doing fine. I just have had a lot of issues, as I said, and just trying to get through them the best way possible. So if you will bear with me, that is much appreciated. So I will be back again. Obviously I don't have it in me at the moment to be doing stitch and and stuff like that, not with the current way I feel, but hopefully going forward at some point I will be, you know, feel a bit more merry and bright in that respect, and be able to sit and, you know, have your company again. But I'm even just getting tired sitting here talking now. I feel like I need to lie down. Oh, getting old, you guys. I'm getting old. So that's it from me. Thank you so much for watching. Take care, my friends. God bless, and I will be back again soon. Bye for now.